Welcome to the broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. We are now live. This is Dan Dix here of Press for Truth. Today we're going to be doing a live Q&A for all the patron members. I'll also be getting to the live chat here, so if you want to get your questions in, I'll do my best to get to all the YouTube live chat questions and super chat questions, certainly. But if you're a patron member, I will read your question on air, and you're guaranteed to have it answered. So bear with me, guys, as I'm just going to quickly tweet out the link to this live broadcast, let people know we're actually going right now. So let me just tweet this out. We are live. All right. This is asking me to link to Twitter. I'm supposed to be already linked to Twitter. All right. We'll skip that for now. Let me just quickly go to my Facebook, see if I can post it there, and we'll at least let people know we are live right now. And let me make sure that you guys are actually seeing this. All right. We have some people already in the chat. Hi, Dan. It's great to have you here, man. What's up, people? Semper from Tennessee. John Smith. Siraj Sharma. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. But stick around, guys, and remember, get your questions into the chat window, and I'll certainly be doing my best to answer everyone's questions today. We decided to go. I wanted to do a live Q&A for my patron members. Last week, I sent out a message to all of my patron members to let them know that we're going to be going live this week and answering their questions live on the air. So a few people got back to me. So we're going to be going ahead and reading those live on the air. I'm going to wait a little minute until a few more people are tuned in. You back in Canada-stan? Yes, I am. Hi, Chris from France. Hey, guys. Yes, I am back in Canada. I am actually in beautiful British Columbia. I'm in Squamish, British Columbia right now. The weather is lovely. Things are great here. Hi from Holland. I pronounced it perfectly. Great. And you are from India. Well, it's great to have everyone here. I got a little bit of sun shining in, so let me just readjust here so that this doesn't look too bad. Let me just double check how this looks. You'll have to bear with me, guys. This is my first time doing a live broadcast from YouTube from my laptop from home. Seems to be going all right so far. Audio seems to be okay. Hey, what's up, John Weaver from Calgary? Great to see you here, man. All right, I want to get into some of these questions that I've been getting from patron members. Again, if you want to get in your questions, get them in here into the chat. Once more viewers come online, I'm sure the chats are going to be going by pretty quick. So if you want to support Press for Truth and you feel like engaging in the super chat, send us a few bucks and I will be able to read your super chat on air and answer the question. All right, so last week I put out the call to my patrons, and I got a number of people here responding. So I'm going to go through them one at a time here, and then we'll bounce back and forth with the YouTube questions. My first patron member's question looks like it's coming from Richie from Boston. That sounds familiar. I know I've seen him on YouTube. He's a pretty well-known live streamer. The question is, when can I get you on a live stream? RFB, a Richie from Boston. Anytime, man. I'm totally down. Just shoot me an email at dan@pressfortruth.ca. Let me know a time and a date, and we'll book it. I'm down for doing that. And also, guys, as far as these Patreon live Q&As, let me know what you think would be a good time. I'm thinking of doing this regularly, once a week, so that, I generally upload around 3, 4, sometimes 5 videos a week. So I'm thinking maybe every Friday, maybe every Saturday, whatever you guys think would be best. I'll go live once a week so we can talk about all the stories that we've covered during the week, and you guys can ask me questions on all of the videos that I've posted during that week. So let me know what you think would be a good time of the day and a good day of the week. Right now it's Wednesday. I started going at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time here. It's around 4 o'clock Eastern on Wednesday. But if you think I should do this more in the evening or more in the morning or on a Friday or a Saturday, I don't know. Let me know what you guys would think is best. Phil Ryerson says he has a story for me. Contact me about the falls in Hamilton, Ontario. Thank you for that, Phil. Send me an email at dan@pressfortruth.ca with any info that you have, and we'll certainly check it out. All right. Let's get back to some of these patron members only questions. We have one here from John Manley, and it's kind of long, so but he's a patron member. I said I would read them all, so I'm going to go ahead and read this and we'll respond to it. Dan, what do you think about the IS, not ISIS? I'm referring to the International Space Station, and in particular the Canadian Space Agency's involvement. Reviewing the videos available online, it appears abundantly clear to me that the entire setup is a hoax. Depending on the scene, it either seems to be filmed in front of a green screen or in a zero-G airplane. You can clearly see water dripping in zero gravity, hair-sprayed hair pretending to be floating in zero gravity, harnesses being edited out of Hadfield's back, poorly edited backdrops of the Earth in orbit, etc. Besides the logistics of what they claim to be doing seem impossible, 6 months without a shower in zero-G, they have no doors sealing the individual rooms. They have long tunnels, zero-G airplanes again, for apparently no purposes other than to be a target for space debris. They are in extremely dangerous situations involving constant maintenance and repair. Try living on a submarine, he says in brackets. Yet they have a plenty of time to make cute YouTube videos and full-length music videos with the guitars and bagpipes that must have cost $1 million in rocket fuel to get up there. I'd be very interested to hear your view on the validity of the International Space Station. All right, John Manley, thank you so much for your question. A very long question, a lot of information you've included in there, so I'm not going to hit every single point that you got onto here, but I certainly have a lot of questions. I'm happy for your healthy dose of skepticism here when it comes to anything the government is saying how things are going. But I gotta say, I don't really understand what the purpose or point would be in faking something like that, and it seems to me that it would require a heck of a lot more effort and a heck of a lot more resources and too many people to be in on it to be able to pull it off to a point where it makes any sense. So I do think that, you know, the videos that we see of astronauts up in the International Space Station are real. Certainly, by all means, send me some of your evidence if you want me to look more deeply into this. But as far as I can tell, I don't think there's any kind of a hoax going on there. It seems to me that it is the real deal. We have a lot of people responding in the chat to this particular question because it kind of teeters on the flat Earth theory. Not necessarily saying that you subscribe to that, but a lot of people who don't believe anything that NASA is saying about what goes on up in outer space are often into the flat Earth theory, which I've never really touched on. I've never gotten into because I see it as a psyop. But maybe it's time I do a video on flat Earth and put that business to rest once and for all. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I do that? I also thought about doing a similar thing on the Mandela effect. Probably going to tick off a lot of people who think that there's something to that and we're living in multiple dimensions. But honestly, I got a lot to say about that psyop as well. I don't subscribe to that, to thinking that we're living in alternative realities. Essentially, if I could break it down really quickly in a nutshell, I think a lot of the Mandela effect is really just false memories being perpetuated by pop culture icons. So, for example, let's just say that someone like The Simpsons, for example, they have a lot of influence on pop culture and society. If they get something wrong, not quite the way it was originally said in its original context, they will permeate that throughout society. And it will exponentially grow as becoming people's truth as to what it is. Then when they see the original, they say, wait, something changed. A lot of it to me is just false memories that have been perpetuated by popular pop culture icons who have just gotten it wrong due to their own false memories. Again, I said I'm going to try to keep up with the chat questions. Again, if you want to contribute by posting a super chat, it'll be greatly appreciated. Of course, we only operate here on support from you, the viewers. So anybody who gets in a super chat, it'll be very I'm going to be labeled as alt-right or something for doing that. But yeah, go ahead. I'll be paying attention to these questions as well. Pete Kingston just put in a question saying gold or Bitcoin. Good question. Thanks for that, Pete. I would, when you put it like that, I'd have to say gold. I mean, when it comes down to gold or Bitcoin, I would say gold. Depends on what your question is. Are you asking about what is better? What is more tangible? What's a safer investment? What's a better way to protect your assets? Essentially, the answer to all these things is gold. Now, I personally hold both. I have some gold, I have some Bitcoin. I'm in the cryptocurrency space, but I wouldn't advise anyone to put more than 10% of your assets into cryptocurrencies. If you want to protect your wealth, gold and silver is the tried, tested, and true safest, best way to do that, in my opinion. And I would put, 80 to 90% of your assets in gold and silver and protect it in that way. But if you want to play around in the cryptocurrency space, you want to play around with Bitcoins, sure, play with 10%, but you got to be aware that you may lose whatever you put in there. You got to be willing to lose. So I wouldn't gamble essentially with any more than with 10%, but it can be very, very lucrative, as it has been for a lot of people. All right, I'm going to try to go through these. There's a lot of questions coming in. Stan asks, Trudeau's payment to the Clinton Foundation. Yes, I exposed that, broke that story when it came out. My friend Lee sent me the link on Twitter. She says, Dan, you got to see this. Immediately, I jumped into video report mode and started working on a piece. And, the Trudeau government has given $20 million to a faction of the Clinton Foundation, essentially, which says that they deal with helping women and girls in, struggling nations all around the world. But when you look into this a little bit deeper, you find out that what they're doing is promoting safe abortions and safe vaccine sites and stuff like this. And what I pointed out in my video is that this seems to be some sort of soft kill, eugenics program more than anything than saving people. It was actually $241 million, I believe it was, that was given to this effort to, spread this message of safe abortions and stuff like that all around the world. The Trudeau government has contributed around 240 million of that, but it was only about 20 million of that went to the Clinton Foundation, which is absolutely ridiculous. That should certainly not have happened. I noticed the sun is in my camera again, so let me just readjust here a little bit. Check really quickly, make sure we're still looking good. All right, let's get back to the patron members only questions. We have another one here from Brian Stratter. Another long one. But as I said, if you are a PFT patron, you're guaranteed to have your questions read and answered on air. Links are located in the description below, so please check that out. Before I get to this, I forgot. I want to share this link to my Steemit profile. Speaking of cryptocurrencies, let me just quickly post that. There we go. Everyone at Steemit now knows that I am live, and hopefully they will tune in at the link. All right. Okay, back to the patron members only questions. This one from Brian Stratter says, I hope I didn't miss your live event. Okay, that's just small talk. All right, let's get to the question. Here we go. The larger the government, the fewer choices people have, as a slight majority of opinion can enforce their opinion on a minority, which equates to millions, tens of millions, or hundreds of millions, depending on the size of the government state. It's very difficult and expensive to move away from massive federal levels of government. The more difficult it is to leave, the less competitive the politicians need to be. Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton are both equally terrifying, having control over 52 states. But imagine them only being able to occupy one state. Suddenly they become a lot less scary and easier to leave from. The trend can then continue further, from federal to state-wise, provincial, and from provincial to municipal. It's a hell of a lot easier to leave a city than it is to move from a state. Suddenly there are more choices for everyone. How terrifying would Trump be if he only controlled a city and not really, if he only controlled a city? It wouldn't be that scary at all. Perhaps one day, if people walked this path, we could see a peaceful voting secession from municipal and communal, and both right-wing and left-wing ideologies wouldn't be so terrified of each other, when they could both have what they want across the street from each other. Thank you so much for that, Brian Stratter. Excellent question. And it really, to me, deals with the concept of secession and seceding from the Union. And I think that is an excellent option for any nation, for any country, and on the macro level for any individual. Look at what's happening with Brexit and how that has stirred up the elitists in Europe. They're shaking in their boots at the notion of the European Union dissolving. This is something they've been working on since the 50s, since the Bilderberg Group, brought this up. So having a nation secede from what they've been doing over the last few decades is incredibly troubling to them. And this has sparked other movements. We've heard, this talk of Cal exit, California wanting to secede. I think it was Scotland a few years ago came very close. They had a referendum and a vote, and they came very close to having something similar. Here in Canada, we have something similar. We have the Quebec separatists who don't really want to be a part of Canada necessarily anymore. And again, I think this is all a good idea. And as I would have to agree with you that this can go further than just seceding from countries. But I've always said, global noncompliance for me is where it's at. And you can maybe use the secession concept right down to the individual, where you secede from the banks, you secede from government taxes, you secede from the indoctrination camps, that is public schooling. You remove yourself from these things. I always said global noncompliance for me is where it's at. I almost want to start a movement, but that wouldn't make very much sense. Come on everybody, global noncompliance, everyone get in on this. But I think you know what I mean. That to me is the answer, just stepping outside of the system, no longer having anything to do with it. And it's easier said than done. Obviously, a lot of this involves getting yourself out of debt. That obviously is a lot easier said than done in this day and age where it's just a debt-based system. That's just how things operate. But if you lower your standards of living and you're willing to live fully on your own and not with the bank's hands around your throat ready to squeeze at any time, you will be a much freer individual. So getting out of debt is absolutely key. And so secession all the way, essentially, right on through federal, municipal, right down to your life. All right, we just had a new one just pop in right here. You just mentioned that you may be doing a live stream in the future, so if I miss this one, maybe we can do it next time. Take care and God bless. Okay, that was from Michael Young. Sorry, Mike, we are live right now as I'm speaking. So Yes, I mentioned earlier in the beginning of this broadcast that I'm thinking of making this a weekly live Press for Truth Q&A, where you can ask me questions about the various videos that we've been posting throughout the week, and then we'll get to that here. Okay, guys, I'm going to try to scroll through some of these comments, see if I can see any more questions. Okay, what do we have here? There's a lot of comments. Not a whole lot of questions coming in. Let me just scroll back though, because a lot have come in. Bob Jackson asks, how are we lied to 24/7? Well, that's an interesting question. We're lied to 24/7 through the education system, through the mainstream media, through essentially the very fact that the elite have discovered that in order to control the population, it has to be done through stealth. I think a lesson was learned in the Hitler era, let's just say, when he tried to take it by brute force. And the global elite at the time, I think, realized that the people are going to resist and the people are going to prevail. And the only way to really get them to accept a global government is to trick them into begging for their own enslavement. So they realized this a long time ago, and I think they ended up taking control of the education system and using that to brainwash children into accepting this reality. So, you know, and it's also, like I said, the state-run media. You know, when you grow up and the school tells you 2 + 2 is 5, and then the TV tells you 2 + 2 is 5, and then your parents are often telling you 2 + 2 is 5 because that's, you know, what they learned in school, and that's what the 6 o'clock news is saying. So you're going to eventually believe to yourself that 2 + 2 is 5, but in fact it's always 4. There is such a thing as absolute truth. We can get into that if anybody's interested, but fact of the matter is, it takes swallowing your pride sometimes to wake up to the lies that we are fed 24/7. Sometimes people have to realize that, you know what, maybe the way I've thought things are all my life are not necessarily the way they are. And that does involve swallowing a bit of your pride and realizing that, hey, maybe I don't necessarily have all the answers. But yes, we are lied to 24/7. Coming all around. All right. Thank you for the comments, everyone. People are saying they like my work. You are a hero, Dan. Coming from Apocalypse. I don't know about that, but I appreciate that. This is Payback. Says, yeah, Steam It. Yeah, I've been posting on Steam It a lot lately, guys. Doing very well, in fact. I've been making more money on Steam It than I have been on YouTube. It's been surprisingly awesome. In fact, ever since the YouTube adpocalypse, my revenues from YouTube have gone down by at least 80 to 90%. This live broadcast right now, they're not letting me monetize. I don't know why. They'll probably monetize it, by tomorrow. But by then, the views will have leveled out, and I won't be making any of that money. But since launching my Patreon, people have signed up there, and it's allowed me to be able to continue and not worry about the YouTube adpocalypse. And if you guys are not yet a member of my Patreon, please check the link below, or you can click on the little dot that's somewhere in the top corner, and it'll direct you to my Patreon page. But on Steam It, I have made, in the last month, full disclosure here, I've made around $3,000 Canadian in the last 28 days on Steam It. This is just by posting, and for those of you who maybe are not aware of what this is, steemit.com, STEEMIT.com. It's similar to a Facebook or a Reddit type of website where users post what they want, videos, pictures, blogs, vlogs, videos, whatever you want. And then the Steam It community can upvote this content, and you earn Steam dollars. It's a cryptocurrency that's generated by the website, so that the site essentially pays the users to post there, and not just post. If you vote up content, or if you comment on something and you have a funny, witty comment and the community likes your comment, you got a lot of thumbs up, you're going to earn Steam dollars. And this is precisely what I've been doing. I post my videos there. A whole bunch of people start liking it. It costs nothing out of their pocket, but they give me Steam dollars. So please follow me on Steam. My account there is @PressForTruth. And, you know, anytime you see one of my posts, give it a thumbs up. And if you comment on my posts, or I can follow your feed, I will thumb up your videos, and I will give a thumb up to your comments, and it will give you Steam dollars. And again, none of this comes out of my actual pocket. It's generated by the website. So a lot of people wonder if it's a Ponzi scheme. It's really not possible for it to be one, because none of your own money goes into this. So what I do is I make Steam dollars on Steemit.com. I use Changely.com to exchange my Steam dollars for Bitcoin. And then I go on localbitcoins.com to sell my Bitcoins, and I'll get a direct deposit for fiat cash straight into my bank account. So this has been a real lifesaver for me ever since the YouTube adpocalypse. Patron members have helped me survive, and Steemit has really, really helped me survive. It's been incredible. Okay, let's get back to some of these questions. Brexit, hard Brexit, soft Brexit, no Brexit. Okay, idiot. I get a lot of that stuff too, you know, it's funny. The hater level, my hater level has gone up over the years. But that's okay. Just means, you know, we're doing something right, I think. Rock Pagaloranik, not sure how to say that, is now my favorite YouTube channel for news. Keep up the great work. Greets from Slovenia. Thank you very much for that. Kathy asked, Dan, what was your major in university? Where did you graduate? Okay, the questions are starting to fly in. I'm going to get to them as best as I can. I went to school, post-high school, I went to school at a place called the Harris Institute of the Arts, and I studied a producing and production program there, essentially to do music recording. I was in a band at the time. I play guitar, and I thought that's what my future was going to be. And I didn't go in there because I wanted to be, behind the mixing board. I went in there because I knew one day I'm gonna be in here recording as a band. That never really went anywhere. After I got out of school, I went down the rabbit hole of researching the New World Order and decided to launch Press for Truth, and everything changed. So my schooling background is in music production, but I never really used that in my career these days. Although that's not true. I started making documentary films, and throughout the filmmaking process, I started doing all the music to my own films. So all 5 of my documentary films, every sound you hear, every piece of music was written by me, was performed by me, either on guitar or drums or keyboard or whatever. Basically, I've scored all the music for all 5 of my films. When we did our first film, we started looking into licensing music for it, and it was so expensive, and it was hard to find stuff for the right vibe, for the right scene. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, why don't I give it a shot? I play. I went to school for this stuff. And I gave it a try on our first film, The Nation's Deathbed, and it turned out to work out pretty good. The next film, United We Fall, and then Into the Fire came after that, The Turning Point after that, the Toronto 9/11 hearings after that. All of these films I did all of the music on. So I guess my indoctrination camp schooling there did come in handy at some point. It was really a huge waste of money. It was a 1-year program for $10,000, and I would advise nobody go to post-high school education. It's such a huge waste of money, and really, if I could look back at, myself graduating from high school now and speak to him, I would say just get to work. Get to work right away. You know, you don't need school. You just got to get to work. I wish that's what I did, and I wish that's what people do, because nowadays kids are being sent out into the world up to their neck in debt. It's unbelievable how the schools, these universities, are supposed to be preparing the next generation for being a good influence on society, and they're putting them out into the world up to their neck in debt. It's absolutely really, really bad, and I would suggest that nobody wastes the money on post high school schooling. Okay, my signal strength says it's not very good, so hopefully we're not coming through too choppy here. Hey Dan, do you day trade or invest? I do not do any day trading. I'm interested in that. I've watched. I've did it in my mind to see how it would go in theory. But no, I'm more of a hodler. I'm more of I've invested in a couple of the cryptos, and I'm just going to sit and let it ride. We'll see what happens. Same that I did with my gold and silver. You know, I just kind of put it in the back of my mind. It's just there. I don't really pay attention to the day-to-day markets. I just know when the inevitable dollar crash comes, gold and silver are going to go through the roof. So it's really a long-term investment, more so, and that's how I see the cryptos as well. I'm not really into the day trading. I'm more of a hodler. And if you're not familiar with that, it's the reason why in the crypto space they say hodl. It's a pretty influential bigwig guy on a chat forum a long time ago says, when people were freaking out about what was happening with Bitcoin, he says just hold, but he spelt it wrong, and it came out as hodl. It's kind of like how somebody once spelt, you got owned, and they spelt it wrong with a P instead of the O, so it says pwned, and that became like a big internet thing now, being pwned. Well, it's same in the cryptocurrency space. To hodl just means to hold on to your investment, and that's what I do. All right. Hayden Gregerson just asked, what do you think about cryptocurrencies? We've been discussing that quite a bit. As I said, lately cryptocurrencies has been saving me from the YouTube adpocalypse. Putting a substantial amount of money in my pocket, helping me to continue to be able to do this. So I'm liking it at this point. Obviously, I have a lot of issues with cryptocurrencies. When they first came out, I was doing interviews back in 2012, 2013, 2014, asking people about Bitcoin, and my opening question was always, how is this not a Trojan horse? How can the Rothschilds or somebody like that who's been setting up their centralized banking systems and systems of fiat lending over decades, centuries, just allow something like Bitcoin to just come along and take it all away? But over the years, my understanding of it has grown. My understanding of how the blockchain works has grown, and I still do see potential for this being a blueprint for an eventual cashless society. But I don't necessarily think that Bitcoin is the be-all and end-all, is going to be the go-to digital currency for the elite moving forward. I think we're still very much so in its infancy. This is just a trial and error. We're in beta, essentially. So I have a major problem with the cashless society. I have a major problem with the elite being able to manipulate currencies on a global level digitally. So this could be the precursor to all of that. Having said that, not all of them are bad. Some of them, it's incredible technology that's being discovered and utilized. And as I said, I've invested in a few of these things, and I'm creating Steam dollars by posting on the website just about every day, and then trading those for Bitcoin. So it has been proving to be lucrative for me, enough so that I can continue to do this for a living. All right. What do you think about the new hate speech law in Germany? I am not familiar with the new hate speech law in Germany, but if it's anything similar to what's going on in Canada, it's bad. That's all I can say. I mean, in Canada, the hate speech laws are getting absolutely ridiculous. We can talk about Bill C-16 and Bill 89, and we'll get back to that. But my experience in Germany just last year was absolutely horrific. I had my rights completely violated by the German police. I was detained at one point 8 times in a 30-hour period. In fact, the German police stormed into my hotel room and searched my stuff and the guy put his hand on my chest and he pushed me up against a wall. You know, my friends Luke Rudowski and Jeff Berwick were with me. You know, they told Luke to sit down on the bed and went through our stuff. The local Germans later told me that, no, they couldn't do that. They need a warrant to do that. I was in another country. I didn't know that my rights were being violated. They just pushed me, and I just, you know, let them do that. And later I found out, no, they need a warrant to be able to do that. And in fact, the German police tried to sue me because of a video that I posted on YouTube. And I got a message from YouTube saying if the video is either not removed or doctored, this individual will be suing you for a violation of his privacy. I looked into this further, and I found out that in Germany, the police, as a private sector, are both public and private. Sorry, as public, are both public and private. So essentially, he was going to be suing me as a citizen, as a citizen of Germany. Not as a police. So I wasn't going to be getting sued by the German police. I was going to be getting sued by this man as a citizen, even though he's fully donned his uniform. He's on duty. He's in uniform. But police in Germany can be both public and private at the exact same time. It's crazy. So what I ended up doing was blurring his faces. YouTube gives you the ability to be able to blur faces after the fact, after the video was up. So I managed to be able to leave the video online and then just had the face of the police officer blurred. So yeah, not a great experience for me in Germany. And if they have a new hate speech law, sorry, let me readjust so that we're not in the sun again. If they have a new hate speech law, I'm sure it's just probably way worse than things are now. Okay. Can't really avoid that sun, but it doesn't seem to look too bad. As far as Canadian hate speech problems, as I said, we have Bill C-16. If you're not familiar with what that is, this is where the government would force you to have to recognize someone's preferred gender pronoun. So if a man wants to identify as a woman and you call him a he and not a she, you could be charged with a hate crime. The Canadian government wants to put this into the criminal code so that you would have to recognize someone's preferred gender pronoun. And some people say to me, well, what's the big deal? If somebody wants to be called by that, why don't you just refer them to that as that? Well, no, I have a big problem with that. This is the policing of our language. This is a slippery slope into tyrannical world order, really. This is what dictatorships do. This is, again, a very slippery slope. I got a lot of flack for this when I was talking about Chelsea Manning, and I mentioned how, you know, Chelsea Manning was a hero because what he did for leaking the Iraq war logs was fantastic, and kudos to him for that. A lot of people gave me a lot of issues for that tweet or that post because I said he or him. And I had to tell people, look, I have no problems with calling him Chelsea instead of Bradley. If the guy wants to be called Chelsea instead of Bradley, no problems. I will call him Chelsea. But for me to deny reality and to have to just suspend reality and refer to this man as a woman because that's how he wants to identify, I'm just not going to I'm not going to do that. Truth is important, people, and I have to stick with the truth even if it might offend some people. But we're going off on a bit of a tangent here, I guess. Yes, we were talking about hate speech laws in Germany, and here in Canada, it's getting ridiculously out of control. Bill 89, as I mentioned, is the one where they would want to take the children away from their parents if the parents do not recognize the preferred gender of their child. Yes, it is really that crazy here. Okay. Have you seen Beck, the airport man from Bilderberg, the journalist? Silver Standard number 5. Okay, I think this person is asking if I have seen the journalist that I spoke with in Bilderberg. I think I'm frozen. Okay, we're still going. I have contacted. I'm in contact with him. I don't want to say too much. But yes, I have been in contact with the Bilderberg journalist from Italy, I believe he was from. We had a very, very interesting conversation, and yes, I have been in contact. I don't want to say too much more about that. Heaton says he has 8 ounces of gold. Good for you. That's awesome. Where do you store your gold? That's one of the issues with metals is storage. I don't want to leave it in the bank, but you don't want to bury it. You don't want to have it in a shoebox under your under your bed. Do you bury it? Do you put it somewhere else? That is one of the issues with the gold is storage. Somebody asked, what instruments do I play? Well, thank you for the question. I play a lot of instruments. I play the piano, the guitar, saxophone, drums, bass. I don't know, you name it, I pretty much have dabbled with it. And if you're just tuning in now, I mentioned earlier in the broadcast how I've done all the music for all 5 of my documentary films. I scored every film. So I actually have a playlist on my YouTube channel of all my music. Not many people know this or ever go and watch it. But we did behind the scenes of the making of the soundtracks. So my film Into the Fire, for example, that's a good one. We shot the entire process of me in the studio, recording the guitar tracks, the drum tracks, the keyboards, the writing process, the entire process of scoring the music for all 5 of my films has been documented, and we include all of these on the DVDs in the special features. But I eventually uploaded the special features to my YouTube channel, and I have included those in a playlist on my channel. I think it's called Music by Dan Dix or Dan Dix Music, something like that. But go check out that playlist, and I've got a lot of the music I've written in there, and again, the behind the scenes of the making of all 5 of my documentary films. Okay, John Weaver. How do you feel about the government of BC's response to the wildfires with all the changes going on, as opposed to individuals in the private sector? Great question. Look, anytime the government is involved, they don't do as good as a job as the private sector could do. This is just provable time and time again. And yeah, absolutely. The response to the BC fires has been horrific. Some people, I don't recall exactly where it was, but there was a certain, I think it was an Indian reserve where the chief said, you know what, thanks, but no thanks. We have our own private sector here. We have our own fire marshals. We're going to deal with this problem ourselves. And the government issued a response saying, okay, well, that's fine, and Danny, you can do that if you want, but we're going to come and take your children if you do that for their safety. And that, again, goes to show, the more government is involved, the worse things get. So I am of the firm belief that everything should be privatized. I think a private firefighting force would do much, much better than than what we're dealing with right now. Just look at what people are dealing with here in British Columbia as fires are raging. So great question. I am fully in favor of the individual and the private sector over government pretty much any time. Balder313 says, check more of the chemtrails in the air and the sea. Not sure what you mean by that, but yes, when the Alberta fires happened, a lot of people mentioned to me, did I notice that there was heavy chemtrail activity in the days leading up to the fires? A lot of people did make note of that, and it raised the question: could this be contrived? I don't necessarily think it was. I think it was a natural disaster, but certainly there is something to this. The fact that there's tons of chemtrails being laid before these things could be something there. All right. Ashamed of Canadians' ignorance asks, why aren't Canadians discussing the only thing that can save them? Ending the fraudulent usury monetary system and the debt they are enslaved to. Excellent question and comment. Ashamed of Canadians' ignorance. Yes, excellent. Get to the root of the problem. If you want to change things here in this nation, you have to hack at the root of the problem, which is fiat lending, banks creating money out of nothing and be able to loan that out at crazy amounts and having nothing in their reserves. This is the fundamental thing that needs to be changed. Absolutely great comment and question. You mentioned that debt is the reason why we are enslaved, and I would have to agree. That's why in the beginning of the broadcast we talked about some more solution-oriented things, and I mentioned that global non-compliance for me is where it's at, and getting out of debt is a huge, crucial aspect to that, which is, as we said earlier, a lot easier said than done, but it can be done, and it's absolutely essential. Okay, let me just scroll through here, see if I can get some more questions going on. I saw somebody ask me something about aliens. Talk about the aliens. True news. Says talk about the aliens. Well, I haven't met any personally. I haven't managed to see any myself, so there's not much to talk about there. I have not really delved into the whole UFO alien thing a great deal. I'm not saying there's nothing to it, but in my research, it looks to me that more often than not, these are military experiments that are being mistaken as UFOs. I suppose they're still UFOs, they're unidentified, but a lot of the time I think it's top secret military operations. Okay guys, I'm going to try to scroll through here and get to some more questions. Dan, don't lie. You've been to Bilderberg too many times to not have met a reptilian. Okay. Someone asks, Rock asks, what do you think about the recent theory that our universe is a hologram from very advanced ETS? I'm not necessarily buying that, my friend. I want to do a video on some of these that I feel are psyops, and including the Mandela effect and the flat Earth theory, and the hologram Earth is another one to me to answer the question quite honestly. So I may eventually, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. If I should spend my time and effort and energy debunking flat Earth, hologram Earth, Mandela effect, these sorts of things, I've just thought it was not worth my time, and it would just be adding to it all. But it's getting so big and so prevalent that I'm almost at the point where it's like, okay, well, we have to debunk it now before it gets too out of hand. So yeah, let me think what you guys think if I should do that. Hey Lee, I saw your hello pop up there somewhere. Again, if you're just tuning in, I was asking at the beginning of the broadcast if this is a good time of day. I'm thinking of doing this once a week. Again, if you are a patron member, your question is guaranteed to be read and answered on the air. So go ahead and click the links that's located in the description below. You can become a patron for $5, $10, even $1, $2, whatever you want. And that goes towards helping me to be able to continue to do Press for Truth as I do. Like I said, the YouTube adpocalypse has been crushing to my finances, but thanks to things like Steemit and Patreon, I've been able to continue. So also, if you get your chat into the super chat, I'm paying attention on that as well. All right, I'm going to quickly check on my patrons to see if there's any new questions that have popped in while I'm on the air here. I responded to a bunch of people and told them I'm going live, in 10 minutes. Get your questions in as soon as you can. Okay, I don't see any more questions here. Let me check my Steemit post, and we'll see if we have any questions there. Nothing so far. Okay, we'll go back to the YouTube chat. And again, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Please check the links in the description to find out how you can become a PFT patron or add us on Steemit. I don't think this current broadcast is monetized right now because that's what I'm dealing with YouTube. They constantly don't let me monetize things, and then let me monetize them way after the fact, like a day later after the views have plateaued. So that's not cool. Okay, thoughts on Abby Martin and Empire Files? Yeah, I like Abby Martin for the most part. I used to really like her, and then her views kind of went sort of socialist leaning, almost flat out communist in some ways, and she's become a bit of an SJW, but the work she produces at Empire Files has been good. Met her a few times, been interviewed by her. I've been on her show on RT, and she's cool in person. She's a very nice person, and I do appreciate the efforts she puts in there. She gets some really top-notch interviews, but some of her ideology is a little off, in my opinion, and she's a bit of a statist, a bit of a SJW, and a bit of a communist, but I like her. What are your thoughts on, Charles Lee asked, what are your thoughts on Alex Jones, Mark Dice, and Luke Radowski? Alright, let's break those down, maybe, one at a time. Alex Jones, man, I don't know where to begin, really. I put out a video once, years back, answering this exact question. I called the video, Alex Jones, Friend or Foe? Look that up. Use the search feature on my YouTube channel to find out my answer to that. But essentially, look, I have to give credit where credit is due, and I've always mentioned to people that, hypothetically, if Alex Jones never existed, if he wasn't born when he was, it's very likely that I would not be doing this broadcast right here, right now, today. He has actually had that much of an influence on me to want to be like him. Back in the day when I first woke up, Alex Jones inspired me so much that I launched Press for Truth. So I have to give credit where credit is due, but having said that, things have changed, and I've stuck up for him, through this transitional phase. People are saying how things have changed, and I'm like, no, he's a good guy, but I've had issues over the years, and we've had not a falling out. We still talk to each other. We've worked together a lot. I don't know if people know, he used to sell all of my documentary films in his store. I've worked with him a number of times, worked for him. He hired me to film B-roll for the Obama Deception Part 2. He sent me on a 9-day tour. For 7 days, I went all around the United States filming shots that he wanted me to film, and then I went to Austin, Texas to his studio, sat in there with the editors for 3 days, editing my footage for him, and everything was fine until it came time to get paid. I'm not sure if I should be talking about this live on air, but you know what? You asked me the question, I'll answer it. When it came time for me to get paid, that's when he jumped around, and I had to really go to bat for myself and, you know, explain, no, this is what we agreed to. You said you were going to pay me this, da da da. He finally wrote the check. Here, fine, here you go. And he gave it to me like as if he was doing me a favor. Really, he just paid me what we agreed, on. And there's been other issues like that I've heard that he's had with other people. And fame and money do weird things to people. And I want to believe that Alex Jones has maintained his integrity, but I have noticed a difference over the years. And to be quite honest, I don't really tune in all that much anymore. Me and my girlfriend sometimes will watch, you know, an Alex Jones video while we're eating dinner. We'll watch something quirky or whatever, like that new folk song that somebody just put out. But I think he's doing good work. I do not think he is, you know, controlled opposition. I do think he is the real deal. It's just certain things have gone to his head, namely money and fame. Mark Dice, I like Mark Dice. He's a friend of mine. All these people I know on a personal level. I pretty much know everyone in the movement on a personal level. And Mark Dice, he's a good guy. I like the videos that he puts out. He does great content. I like Mark Dice. I really have no reason not to like him. I'm a subscriber. I watch his videos. Not all of them. He puts out a lot. But yeah, I like what he's doing. Luke Radowski, you asked me my thoughts on Luke. I think Luke's awesome. Anybody who's been following We Are Change will also know he's the real deal. It's easy to spot fraudsters in this movement. People who come and go, people who are posers, people who get into this for all the wrong reasons. You know, hero worship, just propping themselves up, fame, money, whatever it is. That's not the case with Luke Radowski. I've spent a lot of time with Luke. We've shared countless hotel rooms. We've covered countless events. Been to many things together. Spent many times together. We've been friends for 11 years now. And Luke is a fantastic person. And he's an inspiration to me. He has been, over the years, you know, hugely inspirational to me. I love the work that Luke Radowski's doing. Yeah, this guy responds, Luke, Alex, Mark equals Zionists. All right, you didn't get the response that you were hoping to get from me, but there it is. I like Mark Dice, and I'm a huge fan of Luke Radowski. He's a very good, close friend of mine. No, he is not a Zionist shill. I can tell you that for a fact, just as I know that I am not either. Okay, a lot of questions have been flying by, so let me try to scroll back here and see what else I can find. Alex Jones woke the masses up. Stop the hate talk, says Farrell Foster. Yeah, you know, I was making that point as well. I got to give the man credit where credit is due. Luke won't talk about Antifa being agent provocateurs. Yeah, he will. Look, if Antifa is being agent provocateurs, Luke is going to expose that. You better believe it. I mean, he's there on the grounds, and he's very aware of agent provocateurs acting within groups like the Black Bloc, you know, Antifa, all of these various organizations. We've talked about this personally. He knows that that's going on. He's not going to discuss something that he has no factual proof of. So you may think this is going on, and I'm sure it likely is, and I'm sure Luke understands that it does too, but unless he has the evidence to point to it, he's not going to bring it up. But trust me, Luke knows what's up. What about Tim Pool? Rocco asks. Tim Pool's an interesting character. I've spent, you know, some time with him in a number of places. We were in Chantilly together. We hung out in New York a few times together. I like what he's doing. He's done some good stuff when it comes to live streaming. I will say this: I do think he he plays that neutral card a little bit too much, and of course, journalists have to remain neutral and try to be as unbiased as they can going into certain scenarios. But let's face it, we all have a bias, and I think he maybe overdoes the fact that he's neutral on every single thing just a little bit too much. And he speaks very matter-of-factly. He's always like, let me tell you this. You want to know about this? I'll tell you something. Here, let me tell you about that. One time I was at dinner with me and him and Jeff Berwick of the Dollar Vigilante, and they were talking about Bitcoin. And Tim says to Berwick, he's like, oh, you want to know something about Bitcoin? Here, I'll tell you what's up with Bitcoin. Here, listen to this. And Berwick's just like, okay. And I'm thinking to myself, Tim, do you know who this guy is? I mean, he's well aware of Bitcoin. So anyways, no offense to Tim. I like the guy. He's a nice guy. Speaks very matter-of-factly, and he is a very neutral individual. But I like what he's doing. All right. People are commenting now on Tim Pool. Someone asks, have you heard of Anthony Brian Logan? No, I have not. Perhaps you can fill me in. Maybe you can put that in the chat. Or send me a message at dan@pressfortruth.ca. I have not heard of him or that. Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to scroll back through all of the comments. Talk about 5G, Dan. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Once again, guys, if you're just tuning in, I'm thinking of doing this on a weekly basis moving forward. Let me know when you think would be a good time. Should I be doing this on a Friday or Saturday, Monday? Would you prefer it in the evenings? In the day is good for you. Let me know what you think. And if you want to have your questions guaranteed to be read on the air and answered on the air, you have to be a PFT patron. I will be reading and answering all PFT members, patron members' questions on the air. You can do that by clicking the links in the description below or the little white dot that's somewhere up here. I hope it should be. Again, this is my first live YouTube broadcast from my desktop here at home. So we'll see how this goes. All right, let's check back to the questions. Rocco says Trump didn't really hammer Canada on NAFTA. That's a good thing. NAFTA, as I exposed in 2 of my documentary films, The Nation's Deathbed and United We Fall, is terrible for Canadians and Americans, and it's another incremental step towards the North American Union, essentially. We cover how these various trade deals have been implemented incrementally. You can track it back as far as the General Agreement on Trade and Tariffs, GATT, back in, I think it was 1958 or something like that. And there was a progression there from GATT to the free trade area of the Americas. Eventually you had the North American Free Trade Area Agreement, NAFTA. This went into the Security and Prosperity Partnership, the SPP. They rebranded that as the North American Leaders Summit. So it's constantly being rebranded because people are, they're wising up to the agenda. But what it's all about, essentially, is the formation of a North American Union, similar to a European Union-styled union where Canada, U.S., and Mexico would be merged together into one with a singular currency, the Amero. And it could almost be argued that this has already happened. It's just not officially on paper. There's no flag yet for the 3 countries. But every day our borders are being eroded. American authorities are now able to cross the border and police us on the Canadian side Again, this is all only made possible through small incremental steps through these various trade agreements that we've been lulled into here. And you got to look at the fact that the guys who signed these into existence were all Bilderbergers. Chrétien, after attending Bilderberg it was either 94, I think it was, is when he signed NAFTA. It was after Paul Martin attended Bilderberg that he ended up signing the Security and Prosperity Partnership. It was Stephen Harper, another Bilderberger, who ended up signing, rebranding the SPP as the North American Leaders Summit. So I think the NAU agenda is coming from Bilderberg. And look, those guys don't necessarily have to be aware that they are being used as pawns in this agenda. Yes, even prime ministers can be used as pawns by the Bilderberg members. A Bilderberger might set aside a Paul Martin or a Chrétien or a Harper at these various meetings and say, yeah, this would be good. You should do this SPP for us, or you should do this North American Leaders Summit for us, or hey, how about this NAFTA idea? These guys will say, yes, this is a good idea. Not understanding the bigger agenda at play here. And I think that's one of the biggest things that needs to be exposed about Bilderberg, is that it operates like a propaganda machine. Similar, if you haven't read Propaganda by Edward Bernays, you really need to, if you want to understand what Bilderberg is and how its influence is able to be permeated throughout society, because they invite people of high influence, a lot of power, a lot of influence in society, and they suggest these ideas to these people in these meetings, and these people leave these meetings with these ideas that have been implanted in their brains by the Bilderbergers, and these ideas permeate themselves throughout society. I exposed this in a video called Bilderberg Documents Leaked, Iraq Plan Exposed, I think I called it, where I showed how the Bilderberg members were talking about going into Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction before the invasion of Iraq in 2003. So it was talked about at Bilderberg. All these influential leaders in politics and business and finance left that meeting with that thought in their mind, and it wasn't long later, I think it was just a year later, that all of a sudden the U.S. is entering into into Iraq. And it's because society was prepped for it. They were ready for it at that point, because this concept of Saddam Hussein having weapons of mass destruction was permeated throughout society through these influential people, because the Bilderberg made them believe it was so. So I think that's really the main the bigger picture of how Bilderberg operates. Really. All right. Scroll through here. Mariana Meadows says, hi. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Okay, guys, I'm going to check the patron members only chats one more time. We may wrap up this broadcast soon if no more questions come in. Or, let's say this. If I get 2 new patrons in the next 5 minutes, I will continue broadcasting live for 20 more minutes. Otherwise, we're going to end this in about 5 minutes. It is right now 2:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Let's say 5 minutes. If I get 2 patron members in the next 5 minutes, by 2:25 Pacific Standard Time, I will continue broadcasting for another 20 minutes. Otherwise, we're going to end it at 2:25 Pacific Standard Time in 5 minutes from now. What are your thoughts on Rob Legru asks, what are your thoughts on Bill C-27? Yes, Bill C-27 is something that I have been meaning to do a piece on. I will be working on this very soon. Thanks for bringing that up, Rob. This is looking very scary for pensioners. Anybody with any kind of a pension, it looks like the government is getting their ducks in a line to steal your pension. So let's just, in a nutshell, that's essentially what's going on. I talked about how this can be done in countries like Cyprus. I did a video on that. Oh gosh, I can't remember what it's called. But if you use the search feature on my YouTube channel and just type in Cyprus, you'll see where the government there stole the pensions from the people, and people say, well, that couldn't happen here. You know, that was there. This is Canada. Things are different. Well, no. They're, as we said, they're getting their ducks in a line right now to secure our pensions in their pockets. Not my pensions. I don't have a pension plan, but for those that do, it looks like Bill C-27 is seeking to rob them of that, and I'm going to be doing an expose on that very, very soon. Okay, trying to get the sun out of here. Whatever, it doesn't seem to look that bad. It's fine. Okay, guys, I said we got 4 more minutes. Let me check to see if we've gotten any more new PFT patrons, and if so, we'll be rocking for 20 more minutes. Otherwise, we're going to shut her down at 2:25. Oh, wow, look at that. We have one patron. Somebody just signed up as a patron, guys. If I get one more patron in the next 3 minutes, we're going to have to stay online for 20 more minutes. Oh, God, I don't know what I'm going to talk about for 20 more minutes. No, I'm just joking. But thank you so much. Let me just mention you on the air. Sarah, I don't have your last name, but Sarah just pledged $10. Thank you so much for that pledge, Sarah. Greatly appreciated. You're probably watching this live broadcast now, so be sure to get in your questions in the Patreon chat for next week's live broadcast, and I'll answer your question live on the air. I'll send out a message every week to my patrons to say, here's the new thread. Leave your questions in this thread. Please do that so I don't have to go searching all over the place. We'll keep all the questions in one thread. So thank you so much for that, Sarah. We got 3 more minutes to go, folks. If I get one more patron member signed up in the next 3 minutes, we will stay on the air for 20 more minutes. Otherwise, we will be shutting her down at 2:25. Okay, let's go back to the YouTube chats. Lee says, talk about if you could turn back time to the good old days. Yeah. Sell Ripple, buy unanimous cloak coin. Or heck, even Digibyte, says KC Gonzalez. Ripple is an interesting one. The currency for the banks, essentially, is what it's being touted as. And as I said, as we're moving closer to essentially a cashless society, essentially, I don't know which one is going to be the be-all and end-all. Maybe it will be Ripple. I don't know. Maybe that's going to be the one. Maybe it'll be Bitcoin. I don't know. Okay. We're getting closer to the end of the broadcast. Maybe. If I get one more patron in the next 2 minutes or so, then I will be on here for 20 more minutes. Adam Till just commented on Facebook saying he is watching. Glad to have you, brother. How you doing? Hope you're well. Adam is a friend of mine. We hang out with each other every year at Bilderberg's last, what has it been, 2-3 years in a row or something like that? I hope next year Bilderberg is going to be in Canada. Just so I don't have to travel so far. It costs me a lot of money to do this stuff. But it would be nice if Bilderberg was in Canada and I could get them in my own backyard, just like I did back in 2006. Okay, I'm going to check the live chat one last time to see if there's any new questions. We got 1 more minute, guys, until 2:25. If I get one more patron signing up in the next minute, I will stay on for 20 more minutes. Let me just give this a refresh. Oh, sad to say, we got 1 patron signed up in that 5 minutes. but I believe I said 2. I said if we get 2 by 2:25, I will stay on for 20 more minutes. You've got less than a minute, guys. Links are located in the description below. Somebody asked me if I know Jordan Peterson. Says Liza Jean Williams. I don't know him personally, but I'm a big fan, and it's wrong that I haven't interviewed him yet. I've been wanting to do it in person. I want to do something more than just a video Skype interview. And in fact, I've only recently gotten a new Skype recording software, a program, so that I can record the Skype interviews from home. So yeah, maybe it's time I book something with Jordan Peterson. I've been waiting to do it in person, but the opportunity's just not coming up. So maybe I should just bite the bullet and go ahead and make it a Skype video interview. But yeah, I'm gonna be I'm definitely gonna be looking to talk to Jordan Peterson. Casey says, "Dang, I'm at work right now. Going to be becoming a patron next payday. PFT is the bomb." Thank you so much. Very, very much appreciated. You need to do more of these live streams, says Dante. I will be. I'm thinking of doing this regularly, every week. Please leave your comments here and let me know what you would prefer as a day and a time. I just arbitrarily picked, today I felt like doing it. It's Wednesday afternoon. I went live at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. That's 4 o'clock Eastern on a Wednesday, but I'm thinking of maybe doing this every Friday, maybe Friday night, so all the 9-to-5ers can have time to get home and watch this live. Let me know what you guys think. How about this? How about Friday at 5 o'clock? 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. Eastern. If I went live every Friday at those times for a Q&A, and we can discuss all the issues that have been brought up on PFT throughout the previous week, and you can ask me questions about whatever videos we posted that week. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is that a good time? And is that a good day and a good time? And I'll accommodate that, certainly. All right. I'm going to refresh this page once more. See if we have any new patrons. Someone says that Sarah pledged for 2 people. So I should just keep going. A whole lot of other questions here, guys. You know what? Why don't we just stick with it for a little bit, because I want to get to everybody's questions. Lee Stewie asks, what do you think Canada is going to be like in the next 3 years under the Trudeau dictatorship? Well, the longer he stays in, the worse it's going to get. The man just continues to sell out Canadians at alarming rates. This $20 million given to the Clintons the other day. Thank you so much, Lee, for the tip on that. Lee, sent me a tweet that morning saying, "Dan, you got to check this out." Immediately, I went down the Trudeau Foundation rabbit hole, looking into donations, and put out a video on that right away. And he's continuously selling out this country. And you know what? Maybe people are going to start to realize just how bad it is when they see that cannabis is not going to be legalized on July 1st, 2018. I mean, I've been trying to tell people for years now that he's riding in on this cannabis ticket, and he's not going to do it. And it will happen eventually, but it's going to happen on their watch. And it's going to happen when they've wiped out all the mom and pops, and they have all their fat cat insider crony capitalist buddies who are issued all of the LPs, the licenses that are going to allow Marijuana Inc. to take over here in Canada. And that's happening. That's going to be happening in the next few years. So 3 years from now, Lee, it's going to be really, really scary. They're going to be taking kids away from their parents if they don't recognize their gender pronoun. They're going to be allowing pedophilia and bestiality around here. They're going to be promoting feminism, and the SJW mentality is going to permeate throughout society because our feminist overlord, Justin Trudeau, is an SJW himself. So I think, yeah, things are going to get really bad in the next 3 years. Unless we can, unless we can get back to one of the earlier commenters' ideas of the need for secession and convince enough Canadians that it's time to secede from the Union. Somebody asked, are you Russia today? I am not Russia today. I am Press for Truth. Not really sure what that means, but I've been on Russia Today a lot of times, but I am not. I am Press for Truth. I like the fact that you are Canadian, and I love your Bilderberg work, says Rocco. Thank you so much. I love the fact that I'm Canadian, too. In fact, I just did a video on that the other day, pointing out that you shouldn't be proud to be a Canadian, because people who are proud to be Canadians, it just doesn't make sense to me, because you had nothing to do with being born on this particular landmass. But I do like living here, and I just put out a video about that. Seems that a recent poll was done, and 62%, allegedly, of Canadians trust their government. The number 2 country in the world for the leading population of people that trust their government. Check out that video, guys. It's ridiculous. Rock says Friday would be great. Sunday afternoon, somebody says. We'll maybe I'll do a poll on my Twitter, and we'll see what people think is best. Rocco's proud to be Canadian. All right, not too many new questions. A lot of comments. Going to quickly check my Steemit page. Maybe there's questions over there. Somebody asked if I could get a seat at the U.S. State Department briefing, what would you ask? I'd probably say, what the hell is wrong with all you guys, and when are you going to quit and get a real job? Essentially, I'm a voluntarist. I want to be in a society where everyone's interactions, including the government, is done through mutual contracts that was acted upon voluntarily. That's not how it operates at this stage in the game, but that's how I'd like to see it go. All right, I'm going to check patrons one last time. No new questions there. I'm going to see if I've gotten any new patrons in the last few minutes. If not, I am ending this broadcast, folks. No new patrons in the last few minutes, which means we are going to be putting this one to a close. So, thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. I think that might be my dog scratching at the window to get out. Do you guys want to meet my dog real quick before I end the broadcast? What? Give me one. You wait there 1 second, and I will come back with the one and only Kaiser Sose, and we will end this broadcast with my dog. Give me 1 sec. All right. Okay, we are back. Let me see if we can get him in the shot here. There we go. This is Kaiser Sose. He's my little Havanese. He is 2 years old, and he is a super suck and super sweet. And we love him to death. This is really lame way to end the video, but that's how it's going to be. Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again. I will check all the comments in the chat to find out when you want to see this done again next week. Please check the links in the description to find out how you can become a PFT patron. We need your support, especially in the face of the YouTube adpocalypse. Thank you so much, Sarah, for signing up for $10 a month. That's fantastic. Be sure to get your question in for next week. And until then, thanks for tuning in, guys. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We'll see you again soon.